There is literally no problem that can't be solved by a bunch of boxes from Amazon. So I had tons of leaves all over the property. They have gotten away from me. I've had so much other stuff going on, and we've had lots of rainy weekends, and I just have not gotten to them. And this year, I just didn't have it in me to rake them up, pick them up, throw them in bags, tie the bags, bring the bags down to the curb, and have all the leaves whipped away to the landfill. This year I decided to do something a little bit different, a little bit more ecologically sound, and actually try to mulch them up and reuse them around the property to protect the beds over the wintertime. So what I got was the WORX WG512 blower, mulcher, and vacuum. So it's a 3-in-1 unit, and we'll see how it works. So that's this prime box right here. But I also got some accessories that are in these other boxes that we will get to later. So the next question you might ask is, why the WORX TRIVAC? Well, it could get here fast, and it was pretty cheap. This unit only cost about 110 bucks just for this unit. Now the accessories cost a little bit more, and again we'll get into that, but they weren't very much more. So the big thing about this model 512 is that it has a pretty good volume of air that it can push. Now this will help with blowing, and I'm hoping for sucking and mulching as well. So it's a 600 cubic foot volume of air, but as a kind of a trade-off to get that bigger volume, it only has a 70 mile per hour total speed of how fast it blows. Now 70 miles an hour should be plenty fast enough for moving leaves around and helping get them in piles. It might be a little tougher if you're trying to blow around dirt, debris, wet leaves, those kind of things. But I have another blower that's good for that, and we'll take care of that. This I really got mainly for the leaf vacuum. I wanted to make it easier to maintain leaves that seem to relentlessly come down on me. Let's get this open, put it together, and see how easy it is to get it started. The butter knife, the universal multi-tool of any homeowner. Alright, so it looks pretty simple. It's only 3 parts, which is fantastic. Now, this is an electric unit, which takes a cord. I would have loved to found a battery operated one. I have some really nice batteries that work with a lot of these tools, but I could not find one that operated off of batteries and had these features, so I decided to go corded. My property is not that big, it's not that hard to use an extension cord, and I will hopefully not be doing this very often. If you have a bigger property, you might want to consider this as being a complete negative, but if it's not a big deal to move an extension cord, not a big deal at all. It does have 2 speeds, which dial in up here, so off 1 and 2, and this dial over here just converts it between modes. So when it's turned this way, it goes in, it closes the chute, which shoots the leaves out and becomes a blower. And when you push it and turn it back the other way, you can see where the bag attaches for the mulcher. So very simple operation. This is the extension tube, and this just snaps on. Now, one thing I kind of like about this right off the bat is it has these little push buttons in on the side. Since I won't probably use this tool, through the summer and season or after the leaves are all cleaned up, it is nice that I can kind of detach this and store it a little bit more compact. So that's kind of a plus for me. Now let's take a look at how this bag attaches. It pops into place and it just snap locks in. And there's also a little button right here that you push and it releases right back out. So in like 30 seconds, I was up and running, and probably 20 seconds of that was opening the box. So let's go outside and test this on some of the leaves just as it is out of the box. guess it works. Now, for those of you who are looking for the quick synopsis on this product, well, the WORX TRIVAC, it will blow. It will vacuum. It will mulch. And it will jam. Now, the jamming is kind of a minor inconvenience because it's easily fixed. You just remove this door and you can just clean out the leaves. Now, there is a safety feature that once the door is removed, the blower can't be turned on, but it's still safe to unplug it from the outlet anyway. So unplug it from the outlet, open the door, and then use the mechanism that switches it between blower and mulching mode, and you can clean out all the leaves inside, and then it's ready to go again. Now, the jamming really doesn't happen with dry leaves so much, but if you have some wet underbrush or wet leaves underneath the leaves you're trying to vacuum, it definitely will jam up and gum up the works. Now, if that's all you need to know, fantastic. But I did learn some tips and tricks from the few days I got working with this tool. The first thing you're going to want to consider is definitely looking at some of the accessories that can be added to the TRIVAC. And these are what were in those other boxes that you saw earlier in the video. Now, the multi-purpose adapter they have adapts the TRIVAC output, so instead of having to use the bag that comes with it, you can use a large trash can to collect the mulched leaves. Now, the bag worked fine. It'd be great if all you had to do was move quickly and do a quick cleanup on some stuff that maybe fell overnight or before you're having people over, that kind of stuff. Great, but it needed to be emptied, and while emptying wasn't hard, it is a little bit more time consuming to have to do over and over again if you're trying to mulch large quantities of leaves. So that's where this accessory comes in. You basically take the garbage can, it can be any garbage can, I bought a new one for this project, but you go ahead and you attach the kind of rubber band retaining ring around the garbage can and it seals it tight. Now when you go about mulching the leaves and vacuuming them up, they go directly into the garbage bin and you can put way more into it than you can ever in the bag, and that means less times you have to empty the bag itself. Now, it is universal, which means it basically fits on any kind of trash pail. The trash pail is not included. Now, this hose connects to your suction vacuum blower thingy that we just bought. Now, there are different models, and it comes with different adapters. The one we have just needs this piece, which goes in, snaps in place, turns and locks, and it just replaces where the bag clips into the blower. But it also comes with two other adapters, one of which is proprietary to an older system made by WORX, so this is pretty much junk or maybe eBayable. This one is much more useful because this works with essentially any blower system, vacuum system. So it snaps in place like the other attachment, and this is sort of a ratchet strap on the end of it. And what this does is it allows it to go over any blower vacuum on the market, and you can use it with this system. So you don't have to have one of the WORX blower vacuum mulchers. You could buy any manufacturers and then use this accessory with them. The one downfall of this attachment though is it is kind of bulky to move around, and that is where tip number one comes into play. If you use the WORX TRIVAC on blower mode first and you vacuum all the leaves into a big pile, then you can just move the garbage can close by to the large pile, switch it into vacuum mode, and go ahead and vacuum up that pile all in one shot, and you don't have to move things around too much. Once the garbage can is full, you just have to empty that into a bag and throw it out. Now here is where tip 2 comes in. One thing I found after a couple of, I would say more than a couple of basically garbage cans full of leaves, and then taking those leaves and dumping them in plastic bags to then go put down by a curb for the town to pick up, I figured, let's try putting the bag in the garbage can first, then attaching the attachment on top, so that when the mulcher mulched the leaves, it blew them right into the plastic bag. And you know what? It worked, and it saved so much time. All I had to do at the end was pull the bag out of the garbage can, tie it up, and put it right down by the curb. And now our final tip, and this one really will make the difference on whether you enjoy using this tool or hate using this tool. Now, even with dry leaves, as you're moving the vacuum through the pile to vacuum them up, the end of the tip of the wand will get jammed up with a bunch of leaves, and that will stop the suction and will stop the leaves from being pulled in and mulched. Now you can reach down, you can jiggle them off with your hand and they'll get sucked in and clear the jam, but that takes a lot of time to constantly have to reach down and knock the jam out, and it really slows down the work. However, if you take the vacuum and you move it around quickly and bump it against the ground and shake it through the pile of leaves as you're vacuuming, that kind of self-clears those types of jams and keeps you working very quickly. So if there was one tip I hope you paid attention to, it was tip number 3, because it will save you a ton of time. The WORX TRIVAC did a fantastic job of helping me clean up our yard this year during the fall cleanup. Now, is it the perfect tool for all circumstances? Maybe, maybe not. For me, there was only one downside, and it wasn't that big of a downside, and that was that it had to be plugged into an extension cord. Again, I had outlets nearby. My property's not big enough where I couldn't reach it by extension cord, so that never became an issue. But if you have a larger property, it is something to think about. Once I applied all the tricks and got everything down, it was quite fast. I would say this is just as fast as if I was bending down and pushing all the leaves into the bags and then tying up the bags and throwing them down by the curb. But not having to do that really saved my back, and the 16:1 mulching meant that there was a lot less bags to haul in the first place. It made the work go really quickly, if not monotonously, because it does get a little boring just sitting there with the vacuum going over and over the leaves again and again and again. But they do get vacuumed up, they do get mulched, and the process does go very quickly. I hope this video was informative and helps all of you out there make your decision when trying to purchase a leaf vacuum like this WORX. Things to look at, things to consider, and hopefully things to help you get your fall cleanup done nice and quickly. So if you like videos like this, you like reviews, please subscribe to our channel. We have a lot more coming in the near future. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them down in the comments section. We try to answer all our comments within 24 hours, so we're happy to do that. Good luck with your fall cleanup or on your winter cleanup, and then again in the spring when you probably have to do it all over. And we will see you next time in our next video. You ready to open the boxes?